Curb Your Enthusiasm is back and Larry David is still the same old Larry. After a 6-year hiatus, David returns to HBO, and though the 9th season of his Los Angeles set comedy will very clearly be set in 2017, watching Curb will feel like catching up with an old, albeit curmudgeonly, friend. The Hollywood Reporter was at the Curb premiere where 2 episodes of the forthcoming season were screened, and TV Larry, joined by his original gang, is once again taking on the minutiae of everyday life. Larry had a lot that he wanted to say. He's been suffering petty indignities for 6 years, it's time. Executive producer Jeff Schaffer tells THR of the star's decision to return. David spent the time between Curb's 8th season in 2011 and the story-making launch of Season 9 jotting down ideas in his little notebook. While starring on Broadway in his show Fish in the Dark and popping into Saturday Night Live to deliver his best Bernie Sanders, the Seinfeld creator was also mining his daily experiences for the material that will make up the upcoming 10-episode, supersized season that launches on Sunday. Schaffer adds, he's like Scrooge McDuck and has been hoarding these awkward moments. In the missing years between seasons, Schaffer created and wrapped his own show, FX's The League. Since the show finaled in 2015, Schaffer was free when David approached him last year about getting the gang back together. He says he and David outlined the majority of the season, a process he calls comedy geometry, before David was comfortable enough to give HBO the official nod to announce Curb's long-awaited return in June of 2016. It's the exact same process as how we wrote Seinfeld, says Schaffer, who also wrote and executive produced later seasons of the classic NBC series. We take funny stories and then we sit there with a dry erase board trying to make it work into a show. What has been revealed about Curb is the generic plot. Larry has a new venture that elicits promising feedback from a number of prospective investors, until a string of missteps undermines the plan, at least temporarily, the returning original cast and a slew of guest stars. In addition to the core group of Jeff Garlin, Susie Essman, J.B. Smoove, Cheryl Hines, Richard Lewis, Ted Danson, and Mary Steenburgen, the revolving door of Curb celebrities includes Lauren Graham, Jimmy Kimmel, Elizabeth Banks, Bryan Cranston, and Carrie Brownstein, to name a few. The first episode, titled Foisted, sees Larry trying to rid himself of an inept assistant, offending Jeff's barber and getting into hot water over his new project. The secrecy surrounding the upcoming season, according to Schaffer, is because they have intentionally littered the episodes with exciting surprises. And that includes a supersized season finale that no one will predict. It is one of the most ambitious things we've ever tried, and it worked, says Schaffer of the Near Hour Show. It is going to be a classic. Below, Schaffer previews the 9th season, explains why the current climate needs a Larry, someone to worry about all the little things, and offers a very hopeful answer when asked about the potential of Curb returning for a season 10. When you came back to make another season of Curb, a lot had changed in 6 years. You had created another long-running show, The League, and after executive producing Curb for years alongside David Mandel and Alec Berg, who are each busy making Veep and Silicon Valley, respectively, you are now at the helm with Jeff Garlin and Larry David. What were the challenges and what was most exciting about being back? The most exciting thing about being back was just talking to Larry about all of the awkward situations we had gotten into in the last 6 years. People always ask, are you going to run out of material? Well, the world is still making stupid and terrible people. That's the beauty. So much of the show is Larry coming in and saying, I was at this dinner party last night and this woman said this, and I wish I had done this, but I didn't. I'll respond by saying that I know real Larry didn't, but show Larry will. And there is an episode. You start trading your awkward scars and talk about stories. The process of creating Curb is unique in that there are no scripts and you outline the entire season. How were you able to slip back into that process? The trick is always that a story starts with one scene, so, how do you turn that one scene into a show? That's what Larry doesn't get enough credit for, how much time we spend on the structure. Even though the show is improvised dialogue-wise, we spend all this time on the structure of the show so that all these individual stories weave together. Every show we have ever done has a point on the board, in the third column, where a line is drawn that says, "Is this one harder than all the others?" We'll realize we are intending it right because we aren't doing this right, so then we go back. WSP